Hey friends, welcome back to Chapter Book Storytime, where we are, of course, reading Ku by Kayla Noel. In our last chapter, Ku finally managed to convince Tully to take her back to the alley where her flock lives. And it was really great to see all of them again, even the jerk pigeon Ruhu, but it was also uncomfortable because the pigeons were not entirely kind to Burr. Remember how pigeons aren't comfortable around flock members who are sick or injured? It felt really bad to Ku when the flock members were uncomfortable around Burr as well. Another very important thing happened in the last chapter. Tully let Ku know that their situation is tricky. That if the police officers or certain other authority figures learn that Ku is living with Tully, they might try to take her away from Tully and put Ku in what they consider to be a safe home. That was an unwelcome surprise. That doesn't happen yet. So this chapter, you can take a deep breath and relax while we enjoy Chapter 14, A Christmas Card. Most mornings, Ku woke up when it was still dark, just like a bird, long before Tully. Usually she lay quietly in her nest with a lamp on, looking at books. But on Christmas morning, she crept to the shelf where Tully kept her box of art supplies and carefully took it down. "Doing what, you?" Burr came over and pecked at the marker in her hand. "Drawing a card, me." She thought again about how to explain Christmas in Pidgin. "Remember, sharing day today for humans. Show love with a paper and gift." Ku didn't have a gift for Tully. She had spent all week thinking of what she could possibly get or make for her without Tully knowing, and finally gave up. A card would have to do. Burr wandered off while Ku continued drawing hearts and stars all over the paper. Dozens and dozens of hearts and stars until she had filled every inch. Then she carefully placed the card on the table and waited for Tully to wake up. "For me? Really?" Tully stood by the table in her bathrobe, as fluffy and pink as a dawn cloud, staring at Ku's card. "Thank you." Ku watched Tully's face. Tully's lips pressed together. Then they trembled. Her eyes got wet. Why was Tully crying? "You don't like it, Tully?" "Oh, Ku." Tully put down the card and wiped her eyes. Then she smiled. "No, I love it." "Crying?" Because I am thinking of Ben and how much he would have loved to know you. We always wanted a child. I just wish he could be here now. Merry Christmas, dear." Ku looked at the photo of Ben. It hung on the wall above the Christmas tree. His happy eyes seemed to meet hers. Burr, with the knack he always had for moods even when he didn't have the words to explain them, hobbled up onto Tully's shoulder. Tully looked at the card again and then back at Ku. I was supposed to get up first, you know, she said. I was going to put some presents under the tree. Technically, Santa Claus should have come with them, but we didn't have a chance to send him a letter. Coo knew who Santa Claus was. There was a heavily bearded man dressed in a red suit who sat outside Food Bazaar and posed for pictures with people. Tully had explained about Santa and presents, and that the Food Bazaar Santa wasn't the real one. The real one lived at the North Pole and flew around the world with his team of reindeer, visiting houses by climbing down the chimneys. Or through windows and fire escapes here in the city, Tully had added. Coo wasn't sure how she felt about a strange man in a red suit appearing through the window, but she liked the idea of presents and flying. From a high cabinet shelf in the kitchen, Tully pulled down 3 bundles wrapped in gold and green paper. Here, said Tully, these are for you. Coo stared at them for a while. They were very beautiful. Then she began tearing them open. Burr helped. He loved ripping paper with his beak. The first gift was a book. On the front cover was a picture of a girl flying with a goose. Inside was all words, no pictures. The fledgling, Tully said. I thought it looked good, right? We'll read it together. The second package was a mysterious bundle of small knitted sweaters, dresses, and pants. There was even a tiny pair of felted shoes. The clothes were too small for Coo, but too big for Burr. Coo stared at them, puzzled. Open the third package, said Tully, beaming. The last package was bigger and bulkier than the other 2. Coo tore away the paper. Her eyes widened. Staring up at her was a small human. She had blonde hair just like Coo, but her hair was yarn. The clothes were exactly the right size for her. A doll, said Tully. I made her, too, like the clothes, very quietly at night. I was so afraid you'd wake up. Coo stared down at the doll in wonder. The doll stared back. She was smiling. Mine? All yours. You need to give her a name. A name. Coo thought and thought. She didn't know many human names. Queens, she said finally, thinking of a word she'd seen written out on many signs around where Tully lived, and which Tully had helped her sound out. Lovely, said Tully. How about Queenie as a nickname? Queenie, that felt nice to say. Coo hugged Queenie and then carefully dressed her. Christmas was magical indeed. They were returning from a special Christmas lunch at Jade Moon Kitchen when Coo noticed a piece of paper sticking out from under Tully's door. She reached down and grabbed it. What's that? Said Tully, her voice sharp. Tully glanced over her shoulder. Coo did too. The hallway was empty. Can I see it? Oh, it's for you, Coo. Tully relaxed and unlocked the door. I think I know who it's from. Coo ripped the sealed envelope. More paper, green and red, and covered in gold glitter that flaked onto her hands. "A Christmas card," Coo whispered. She opened it. Inside was writing. Her reading lessons with Tully were just beginning to get less frustrating, but suddenly it was all too overwhelming. She clutched Queenie to her chest, unable to make out a single letter. "Read it, Tully." "Of course, sweetie." "Dear Coo, Merry Christmas. I liked drawing with you. It is fun you get to live with a pigeon. They are the coolest birds. Have a good Christmas. Sincerely, Aggie." Coo sat in stunned silence. She picked up the card and studied every inch of it. Then she asked Tully to read it twice more. "See how nice it is to get a Christmas card?" Tully asked, smiling. Coo carefully placed the card on the table. Burr came over and pecked at a piece of glitter. "I need to make one for Aggie," she said, "right now." Coo's card was not as neat as Aggie's, and Tully had no glitter in her box of supplies. Tully offered to write a message inside the card, but Coo didn't like that idea. So instead, Tully spelled out the letters slowly as Coo shaped them with her marker. "To Aggie, from Coo." "Coo," Burr said happily when she finished the last O. He was quite good at recognizing some words. Drawing and writing had taken a long time. It was dark outside when Coo gingerly stuffed the card into an envelope. Burr hopped in his cage to go to sleep. Coo grabbed Queenie and tucked her under her arm. It was odd to leave the apartment without a coat or hat or scarf. It was even stranger to walk up the stairs Coo had seen every day for months but never climbed. They were dark brown and chilly and had cobwebs in their corners. Coo gave Queenie a squeeze. Tully led them up 3 whole floors and stopped outside a gray door labeled 4C. On either side of the door was a jumble of shoes, umbrellas, and scooters. The hallway smelled like chocolate and peppermint. "Let's just slip the card under the door," Tully said. "It's supper time, and we shouldn't bother them." Coo wedged the card underneath and stepped back. They were already starting down the first flight of stairs when 4C's door opened behind them. "Wait!" a voice called. Aggie stood in the buttery yellow light spilling out into the hall from her home. She wore neon pink pajamas and a pair of fuzzy green socks and nudged her glasses up her nose as she peered down the stairs. "Coo, wait," she said. Hesitantly, noticing the uncomfortable look on Tully's face, Coo went back up the steps. "Thank you for the card," said Aggie. The warm chocolate scent wafted around her. "Do you want to come hang out for a bit? My sister just made peppermint brownies." A plump, sleepy-looking man with large glasses appeared behind her. "Is that okay, Dad?" Aggie asked, turning to him. "Can Coo come over and have a brownie?" "Sure,"
Are you a new neighbor, Coo?
Coo is my niece, Tully said, stepping up from the stairway. Hi, Phil. Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you too, Tully. Sorry I didn't see you there, said Phil, blinking.
Coo noticed he was wearing pajamas printed all over with small cartoon dogs reading newspapers.
Long day. I was up at 4 this morning covering that giant steam explosion in Midtown.
Oh my goodness, Tully's eyes widened. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it blasted a huge crater in the street, said Aggie's dad.
No injuries, Aggie said brightly. Just some parked cars that fell in the hole. The best kind of exciting disaster, right, Dad?
Right. Except for the part where I hauled myself to Midtown before dawn on Christmas Day, said her dad, frowning. That was truly tragic.
Well, Coo and I definitely don't want to bother you.
No, Tully, it's completely fine, Aggie's dad said, yawning. Come in, Coo, if it's okay with you, Tully.
Yes, said Aggie, pumping her fists into the air. Tully, is it okay? Coo looked from Aggie to Phil to Tully. Aggie's face was eager and shy. Her dad's was tired. Tully's was nervous. Her lips were set in a tight line, and her eyes looked small. But when Coo met her gaze, she sighed and nodded. I'll be back up to fetch you in 30 minutes, Coo. Just come down if you need me. And be polite and take your shoes off, Coo. Aggie's family doesn't wear shoes in the house. Coo balanced Queenie on her knee while she ripped the Velcro off her sneakers. Tully turned and went down the stairs. When Coo looked up, Tully was gone. Clutching Queenie, Coo walked into Aggie's apartment alone. And that is the end of our chapter. Next time, we will hear about what Coo and Aggie do in Aggie's apartment. See you later.